we on? We're on. It's a go. Hi. Guess what? Today we're making pies. And I have one of my grandma's aprons on. Actually, I think this was my mother's. I had to get Lauren to button it in the back. I couldn't get my arms back there. Okay. So in the family cookbook, if you're interested, on page 4, is the pie crust recipe right here. Look at all these cute pictures. There's Grandpa with, oh, it's over on this side. Grandpa and Fisher and Tessa and Aaron. Look at all those cute pictures, everybody. And this is my great grandma, Nellie Grace Keith Martin. Her dad homesteaded in southwest Kansas. I got a story about that, but not now because I'm focused. So we're going to do this recipe. I'll put it in the notes because now I know how, remember? Okay, so I'm going to do that, but I wanted to show you this real quick. Here I go down the rabbit hole. This was a cookbook that I helped create for the women in our ward when we lived in Centerville. It was 1990, I was Relief Society president. I think at that time. I was before that. May have been State Relief Society president then, I don't know. Long time ago. And Better Homes and Gardens cookbook. This is Matthew's grandmother, Virginia. I don't know, she was married a couple of times. A couple of them died. She married again. And then he died. She didn't marry again. Anyway, Virginia, she loved Matthew. He was one of her favorites. At least, that's the way she made him feel. You know, every one of my grandkids is my favorite, depending on who I'm with, who I'm talking to. But I have this, and I love it because it belonged to her. There's a story about her, too. I'll have to tell you that later. This cookbook, also Better Homes and Gardens. Probably every woman in America had these. This is my grandmother's. I think it came out, I think the date in it was 1945. But there's some clippings that came out of it. Here's an old envelope. It's very yellowed. It has a recipe on it. Salt, water, alum. Oh, it must have been pickles because you put alum in pickles. She had all these newspaper clippings in there. Here, oh, poultry. If your hens have a problem, how to kill lice on hens. So if you're having a problem with that, let me know. I can read this article to you, or I'll mail it to you. You can have it. That's 1948. Probably the Capper's Weekly. Oh, how did I know that? Here's another one. These fell out. Pickering Infant Dies. This was my grandmother's. I think it was her sister's granddaughter. Infant died. They laid her to rest in Rest Haven Gardens in Worth, Missouri. And what's this one? Soap. If you want to make soap. Now, Debbie makes soap. I told you that in another video. I should send this to her. She might like to have that. And what's this? For eczema. If you have eczema, let me know. I'll mail this to you. Take some long branches off elderberries. Scrape off the first gray layer of bark to the green layer and throw this outer part away. Now scrape off 1 cupful of the light green bark into fine shreds and put in a pan with 1 cup of sweet cream and boil till it looks like a thin salve. Okay, strain. Add a tablespoon of black pine tar. Let me go get some black pine tar. Okay. This one was in there. Haven't looked at these. I just pulled them out. Oh. Drover's Telegram. I don't know what that is. Anyway, look at the date on this. 1957. That's the year I was born. Lemon tea. Good soap. There's another soap recipe. My dog died. How sad. The stolen spoons. Why do spoon-billed ducks have bills like that? Well, King of Geese brought home a bride, so a party was given. Birds and animals from far and wide were the guests, and even Coyote came and brought some friends to share the fun. Rabbit, beaver, otter, badger, muskrat, mink, gay squirrel. Not funny. Wolverine, sly fox. The sun made the water sparkle like rare gems, made the water sparkle like... Oh, I read that twice. They rode in Coyote's white canoe. The coyote had a canoe. I don't think any of our coyotes on the farm had canoes. And again, there wasn't much water, southwest Kansas. Anyway, but my favorite book, I need to back up, remember that. I look better back here. My favorite book is this one. My mother gave this to me when I got married. Now, why, you ask, is this my favorite? Well, do you know what that circle is? One year when we lived in Aurora, my mom and dad came out for Thanksgiving, and my mom and I had been in the kitchen all day. It was great. We had a good time, and we made a bunch of pies. Well, the kitchen cupboard was covered with food. You know how that is. You run out of food, even in a big kitchen. Not that that was a big kitchen, but she pulled a pie out, set it on top of this book. A little bit later, I went to move it. I picked up the pie pan, and it had melted the cover of the book. And my mom felt so badly. She said, I'll buy you a new one. And I said, this is irreplaceable. I'll always remember making pies with my mom on that day. Now, isn't that a happy thought? Oh, don't drop it. Okay. So now we're going to make pies. Now that we've done all of that rigmarole down that rabbit hole. Oh, that's dirty. Who put that away? Dirty. Fixed it. Okay, here we go. I think I told you, I'm trading with Erin. She's gonna do deviled eggs, and she's gonna color my eyebrows, because look, see how this one's it's over here, it's reversed. It's disappeared. I was over there last night, dropping off bread for my Millie, and I said, I gotta get this done. She said, okay. So I'm gonna get my eyebrows done. Old lady eyebrows look terrible, but she'll make me look beautiful again. That's what she does. Okay. I like this big bowl. This was my grandma's, and I like it. It's worn. Look at that. But it's pretty, right? I like it. So the recipe says, Dean's calling me. I'll be right back. That was my brother, Colin. We talk every couple of days. We never have anything to say. We always say that. I don't have anything to say. I'm like, okay, well, we're both alive. We're both breathing and smiling. So we'll take that. I went ahead and mixed together some of the ingredients while I was talking with him. He asked what I was doing. I said, I'm making pies. I'm making a recording about how to make pies. He said, oh, I don't want to interrupt. And I said, you're not. I'm still working. So 3 cups of flour, about a half a teaspoon of salt. You don't have to do the salt. Andy, he's smart, said he puts a little sugar in his pie crust. So we're going to do that. Not a lot. How about 1/8 of a cup? Why not? We'll give it a try. See how that goes. So, all right, 3 cups of flour, and I put in 1 1/3 cup of Crisco, and I like the buttery Crisco. My grandmother, and well, when my mother was younger, they used lard. I have lard. Maybe we should try that. Not today, though. Shay's calling me. I'll be right back. That was Carly and Shay. They were running to the store to get stuff for smash burgers tonight, but they've already started their rainbow jello for Thanksgiving tomorrow, because that's another family recipe that it takes forever. I quit making it. Danielle makes it. And Carly makes it. But later today, I'm going to make Carly's cranberry relish, which is just so good. So we talked about that. She said she's got everything ready for that. So they're going to be doing that. Okay, where were we? 3 cups flour, 1 1/3 cup Crisco, half a teaspoon of salt. Okay. Use a pastry cutter. It should look like the size of small peas. You don't want to overmix it. You don't want it to look like bread dough. That would not be good. Okay, so now I've got an egg. I beat it up in the cup. I'm going to add secret ingredients here. I need to get some cold water running. I just put hot water in the sink. I'm going to get cold water coming out. We're going to do 6 tablespoons of cold water. So I have to count out loud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tablespoons of cold water. Secret ingredient is a tablespoon of vinegar. Remember, I told you the other day, I talked about this, that this is a pie crust recipe of my great-grandmother's that she made and took to the state fair in Kansas. You want a blue ribbon with it. So you just dump it in here with the Crisco and the flour. Use a spatula. You're not going to stir it. You're just going to kind of fold that moist stuff in. Just gently. We're not going to stir it. Not bread dough. Okay, it's coming together. Smashing it together a little bit. Should have taken off my rings. My Grandma Covey's wedding ring that my Uncle Howard gave to me. Thought about Uncle Howard today. While I'm doing this, I can tell you a story. Uncle Howard was my mom's younger brother, one of them. He left Kansas. He said it's because the doctor said his lungs weren't good. Went to Arizona. Supposed to be better weather there. Anyway, he started out as a lot boy. He told my mom when he arrived in Phoenix, he had his wife, 3 kids, unless one of them came later, and a quarter, 25 cents. That's all he had left. And he started out as a lot boy at a car dealership and did such a good job. He became a salesman, and then he bought it. And he owned several car dealerships. Made a lot of money. Was a big game hunter. Went to Africa a lot. So there it is. Big piece of pie dough. Get this out of the way. He told me not long before he died, he'd gone to visit a friend in a nursing home. Walking down the hall, maybe he went to see his mom. That's a funny story. He went to see his mother in the nursing home, and he heard an old man. As he's walking down the hall, there's an old man in his room, and he's crying, boo-hooing, upset. My Uncle Howard went into his room and said, "Are you okay?" And the guy said, "No." And Howard said, "Well, can I get a nurse for you?" And he said, "No, I just need someone to trim my damn toenails." So my Uncle Howard, he said he had fingernail clippers on his car key. He pulled them out and some old man in the nursing home, he trimmed his toenails. And I thought of the Savior, how he just went about doing good things for people. Anyway, I think I want a little more dough on that. Okay. So there you go. You make a circle of dough with your hand. You're not going to knead it. I'm just going to smash it down a little bit like this. Pat it. Spread some more flour on the surface. And then my mother's rolling pin with the paint worn off. Lead paint worn off the handles. I talked about that in another video. Not funny. Let me explain something. So you just need to keep the surface kind of floured, right? Like that. And you roll it out about as thin as you can. My mother always said the thinner the better. She's a good pie maker, so I trust her judgment on that. I don't know what we're going to make first. Oh, let's see. Aaron asked for a cherry and a chocolate pie, so I bought some disposable pie pans, so I shouldn't have to worry about bringing it back. I think that's a nice thing to do. Can't see me, huh? So I folded it over and then I pick it up gently, put it in the pie pan. And since it's a double crusted pie, we're not going to poke holes in it. So now this is what I do. I have a can, I've already opened it and drained it. This is just red tart cherries. Put the cherries in it. And then we're going to do a can of wilderness cherry pie filling. I like to do the sour cherries in there. I think it adds to the flavor. But I'm going to put some sugar over the top too. Those are sour cherries. Okay, smear it around. Boy, that's kind of a tight fit, but we'll make it work. Should have gotten bigger pie pans. Okay, now I'm going to take some sugar. I think my mother used to put a little almond flavor on this too. I'm not going to do that. A little sugar. I'm going to set this aside because now we need to make the lid. You take another ball of dough. Now, if you roll it thin enough, you can get one double crust pie and a single crust out of one batch, or you can get 3 single crusts. A little more flour. Pat it down, spread some more flour, pat it down. This is really a great recipe because it bakes up nice and fluffy, but it also stays together when you're kneading it. Some of those, because it has egg in it, I suppose, partly. Some recipes, it's just mainly lard or butter or Crisco and flour, a little bit of cold water, but this has the egg in it and the vinegar. And it's a pretty specific ingredient. Measurements, I really measure this. There are a lot of recipes I don't ever measure it. Okay, and then I have I don't know which one I use. I think I'll use the bigger one. No, I'm gonna use the smaller one. Cookie cutters. This is the shape of a acorn. Isn't that cute? Turn right side up. Little acorn. And you're gonna cut holes in it. This is a vent for the steam that comes out. Oh, I should have turned the oven on. And I cut 2 vent holes. I'm turning the oven on. Turn both ovens on. Okay, now, this is an important step. You're going to take some water and you're going to moisten. Can't see that. You're going to moisten around the edges of your bottom crust. Just dip your fingers in there and run them around it. Get it moist. You don't want it dripping. But that's gonna, it's like glue. Forms glue. You're gonna fold this up, pick it up, lay it halfway over, unfold it, and then kind of press it down on the edges. Now I have these cute little acorns I cut out with that cookie cutter, and I'm gonna put a little water on the top of the crust and put these cute little, see that? Little acorn, where I put that water, like that. Now, I'm carefully pick it up, and I'm going to shave off the extra crust with a knife. I prefer to use the less sharp edge of the knife. I flip it around backwards. I think it just kind of does a good job that way. Anyway, not a big deal. Okay, there it is. But now we're going to crimp it. So you can crimp it however you want. Some people use a fork. I like to use my fingers. I put my fingers on it and just put my thumb down in between them. Like that. Can you see that? And it makes a little lacy edge on it. So pretty. Crimp the edge. And that helps seal it as well, right? And then use my pastry brush. And for years I didn't have a pastry brush. I just used a wadded up paper towel. You're just going to dab some milk around the top of the pie, like this. You don't want to get it too wet, and if you get a little puddle of milk, just drag your pastry brush through it. Kind of spread it out. Try not to go over the little vent holes because it will drag that red of the cherry out onto the crust, which will be fine. People will still eat it. And then I sprinkle more sugar on it because, you know, sugar. That's about 1/8 of a cup. Probably a little more. And I'm going to slide that in the oven. Get it going. One down. Now, I've got this left over. I'm going to use this to make a single crust for Aaron chocolate pie. Michael likes the chocolate pie too. Emery doesn't eat chocolate much. Carly doesn't eat chocolate. That's genetics from the other side of the family. That's not a Bush thing or a Covey thing. That's definitely got to be from their other side of the family, I'm guessing. Or maybe Matthew's family. Matthew didn't really like chocolate when we first got married, but I took care of that. He likes it now. Okay. Okay. All right, let's roll this out. Got some little grooves in it because this is the crust I cut off, or the pie dough I cut off the cherry pie. So it's not as smooth, but we'll make it work. Like I said, they'll eat it. If you make it, they will eat it. When the kids were little, or younger, not little, they got into junior high and high school, they had a lot of activities. And sometimes I just thought, our family needs to spend a little time together. Even an hour around the supper table would be a good thing. Probably more about me than them. I don't know that they needed as much as I did, though I think they enjoyed it. So when I started to feel that way, that's when I would think about what I could make to get them to come home, have supper with us. And fried chicken was the number one draw. But if I made pie, that also pulled them in. Okay. Here we go. I think that's a little thick, in my opinion. Let's flatten that out a little more. Okay, fold it over, lift it up. It still feels a little thick to me. A thinner crust is going to be a crispier crust. And I like a crispier crust. Oh, I think that's perfect. I can almost see the countertop through it. That means it's good and rolled out. Flip it over. Did you see that? You didn't see that. That's okay. Okay, push it down along the side. Smooth out any pleats, wrinkles. And here's the knife. And I know probably those of you that make pie have a different way of doing it, but this is what I was taught and kind of what I just stuck with. And I'm also going to crimp the edges of this a little bit. Just go around it. Mainly because it's pretty. I don't know that it serves a purpose on a single crust. But you do this on a single crust because it will puff up. You take your fork and just poke holes in it. I think the hardest thing about Abby being in Missoula at college, she was always my pie making buddy. And for several years on Pie Day, what is that, February something, I think, she would text me in the morning or call me and say, Grandma, it's Pie Day. I'd say, well, come on over. We'll make some pies. One day we were making an apple pie, and I only had one apple pie filling, and I think it takes two, personally. But I also had a peach pie filling, and I don't know why. I'm not a fan of peach pie. Matthew kind of likes peach pie. I think it's kind of, I don't know, not my thing. And I said, Abby, I've got one apple and one peach. She said, let's put them both in at the same time. So I said, well, what are we going to call this pie? And she said, peach and apple, peach and... It's a people pie. We made the first official, as far as I know, people pie. And it was pretty good. So, anyway, thinking of Abby today. She's getting married on January 10th. No, it's this way. That's her wedding invitation. I got invited. I'm pretty lucky. I love that girl. She's a little older. Very mature. Uh-oh. I don't know what happened there, but my computer just shut down. Okay, I'm going to stop this. All right, we're wrapping things up here. I'll show you what we've got so far. Ignore the foods up here on the counter. I've got stuff for Thanksgiving. I've got 2 pie shells. They're just the bottoms, the crust. Oh, I was going to have an apple for lunch. Rosie was here a few days ago. Found that in the apple container. And then I've got, here I have an apple pie and a cherry pie. And, whoops, did I just turn it off? No, it's still going. I'm now making the filling for the chocolate pie. One of the things, really, some of my kids' favorite thing more than the pie is the pie crust. We call it crusty. Having crusties rather than giving crusties. These are crusties, and we just take the leftover pie dough and roll it out really thin and put it on a cookie sheet, and then sprinkle it with cinnamon sugar a lot. But I've got another batch of that's going to come out of the oven in a minute. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the chocolate pie. I went ahead and started. It's a cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of cocoa, and you have to mix it together because the cocoa is kind of wonky. It tends to not mix in very good. And there goes the oven. Here I have 2 cups of milk. I use a can of evaporated milk. That's what my grandmother and mother would do, and then they top it off with some milk or cream. I mean, why not, right? So I put that in there, but I'm doing something a little different. I talked to Abby about this. I think I mentioned I have a new recipe for rice pudding, and they put the eggs in at the beginning. Normally what you would do with this recipe, and it's in the cookbook, is you would pour the milk in with the sugar and the chocolate and get it to bubbling, and once it's bubbling, you pull it off the heat and you pour some into the egg yolks. You do 3 egg yolks, no whites, to temper the eggs, beat it up a little bit, and then pour it back in and then cook it a little longer. But I told Abby this rice pudding has the eggs in it from the very beginning, and Abby said, well, let me know how that goes. So I'm going to try it out, and I'll call Abby tonight. I'll let her know if it worked. I'll show you. These are the crusties. So that's just leftover. You don't want to waste that pie dough, but there's not usually enough. I might have been able to get another bottom crust out of it, but everyone likes the crusties so well, I decided to just go with that. Okay, let me check this pie real quick. Well, I think that's looking good too. Let's pull that out. So this is a second cherry pie. And I told you there are different ways to crimp the edge. So on this one, I just did a fork around the edge like that. Doesn't that look good? Did the little acorn on it. It's so cute. Cute little cookie cutter. Sometimes I have to look for the cookie cutters in the Play-Doh set. Okay. Cup of sugar, 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder, about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and then a 1/3 cup of flour. You can use cornstarch. I'd have to look up how much, but I'm doing flour because I just had the flour bucket out. So that's what I'm going with. Okay, and we're going to try this. This is 2 cups of milk. I did the evaporated and regular milk, and 3 egg yolks. And there's some cocoa in there because I used this whisk to mix this all together. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I want to pour this in slowly because I think it'll help me mix that cocoa in. I remember doing this one time and it seemed to mix that cocoa better. I don't know why cocoa powder has such a hard time emulsifying in with that milk. You know what? I think that's a good idea. You see that? My phone's been busy today. Everyone's calling to ask how the pie making's going. Carly and Shay called. They were heading to Walmart to get stuff to make smash burgers. I'm sure they weren't buying hamburger there, but Andy has a Blackstone griddle. A really nice one. And he makes incredible meat on it. He does smash burgers, and that's one of Carly's favorite things. So they were going to get buns and tomatoes and lettuce. You know what? I think I'm going to like the way I'm doing this. That looks pretty good. We'll see what happens. You know, I tend to get stuck in a rut and do things the way I was taught. And sometimes it's good to try it other ways. So, let's see. What else was I going to say? Oh, in our next episode, I'm going to make Carly's cranberry salsa. So good. You'll love it. You put it on cream cheese and you serve it with chips with a hint of lime in it. And it has jalapeno and, oh, I don't know, some onion. I have to do that when Matthew's out of the house. And cilantro and lime. A little sugar, I'm sure, and some salt. Anyway, I can't remember the recipe. I don't make it very often, just during the holidays, but I'm going to make it today, and I'll make a video about it, so we'll be back together. I make a lot of my Thanksgiving food on Thursday. In fact, the turkey's probably almost done. And I bought a honey-baked ham because we all love that honey-baked. We've been eating on that for 3 days. I bought it 3 days ago. Yep, Monday. It's still good. It's ham. It's full of salt. But it's our favorite ham. And we munch on that. It's a snack. But, okay. Enough of that. I guess that's about it for the pie. So when this is done, I'm going to wait for it to bubble and then cook it and boil it for a couple of minutes. 3. You take plastic wrap, and after you pour it in the cooled pie shell, you pour the chocolate in there and cover it with a piece of plastic wrap. Otherwise, it gets a film or a skin on top of it, and not very appetizing. It doesn't taste bad. It just, I don't know, a little different texture. But my mother and grandmother would always put meringue. They'd beat up the egg whites with some sugar and put that on there and then stick it in the oven. And I would scrape off the egg white and put it on my dad's plate, and he loved it. He said it was like candy. Of course, he said that about chicken, too. He said, this is candy. So, good Lord. I gotta order some more tallow, because this is scary. Anita, help me out. Anyway, I love you all. Happy Thanksgiving. Probably no one will watch this. I'm talking to myself, but that's okay. I love you all. Just keep smiling and breathing. Bye.